Finance Committee 2025 Agency Budgets Review. We're going to start here by just letting everyone know our department heads, as they come up, we're going to be asked a series of questions related to your budget information so that you have pre-submitted to this committee for review. Please answer as completely as you can, okay? The other thing I want you to remember, if there's any answers to our questions that require more than a brief explanation, you may indicate so and provide a more thorough response to the committee in writing via our alleged budget@albanycounty.gov email. Also, in order to complete our examination of your budgets, it may be necessary to forward you some additional questions after tonight's hearing. All right, so now we're going to begin. I'm going to ask the majority council, please start by taking attendance.
Sure, Madam Chairwoman. Ms. Willingham.
Present.
Reedy and Claire excused. Camisso.
Here.
Demolowitz.
Here.
Ray Joyce. Lakakis.
Here.
Bergdorf. And Grimm.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay.
Also here this evening are Mr. Cleary, Epicoro, Feeney, Larilliard, Miller, Petto, Ricard, Robinson, and Rosano.
Okay. All right, just for everyone's clarification, Cornell Cooperative Extension will not be presenting tonight, nor will the Stormwater Coalition be presenting tonight. So this evening, we will begin our Audit and Finance session number 2, which is basically the infrastructure and the general government piece of Albany County. And we're going to begin with the economic development and planning. Mr. O'Connor. Kevin? So I also see at the front of the table, this is Mr. O'Connor, I see Mr. Bradley, and I see Mr. Rogers. All right, so now I'm going to ask you to begin and provide us with a brief summary of your budget, no more than 3 minutes, and how it meets your department's needs for 2025.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, my name is Kevin O'Connor. I'm the Director of Economic Development for Albany County, but I also serve as CEO to the Advanced Albany County Alliance, the Albany County IDA, the Albany County CRC, and we also provide staff support to the Albany County Business Development Corporation, which is listed as the Altech Loan Fund, and more recently, the newly created Albany County Pine Hills Land Authority, which is created to hopefully assist in the orderly disposition of the properties of the closing College of St. Rose. I did submit in writing some of the budget issues to Mr. Ford, so I won't go through that, but what I would like to do is just briefly tick through some of our priorities for 2025. One of the things that we feel we need to do now, it's now been 5 years, it doesn't seem like it since we did the County Executive Commission, the economic strategy, and I think this year it'd be appropriate if we did a kind of a refresh of the county's economic strategy, and so we'll be reaching out to many of you to talk about that, just to make sure that we're on track for the same industries and that we're organized in a way that helps us accomplish the mission which we set out to be. I still believe that our largest single opportunity for Albany County on the economic development front is the offshore wind initiative in the ports of Albany and Queens. This initiative could yield billions of dollars of investment, and that's not an exaggeration, and thousands of jobs. At the same time, working on the ever so important issue of climate change and alternative energy sources. We will be proceeding with the development of the Altech Steel, the former Altech Steel site in the town of Colony. It's a Superfund site, and we've negotiated a liability agreement with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to limit our liability, and we agreed to capping the site and entering into the brownfield program. And we expect at the end of this year that the site will be turned over to the Alliance, and we can start the process of redeveloping. That site is probably the single best industrial development site in our county because of the abundance of infrastructure, not the least of which being power. It's got high capability power infrastructure right in the park, along with rail, water, sewer, and all the other things we need. You know, depending on how the bankruptcy with the College of St. Rose goes, this could be a major initiative in 2025. As you may know, the college filed for bankruptcy a week ago this past Thursday. And you know, now the process will begin with Judge Littlefield in the Federal District Bankruptcy Court of determining what the value of that property at the college is. As you probably know, the college is defaulted on some $50 million in debt to two major investors, BlackRock and Invesco, the two large investment management firms. So we're going to be working on that. The new authority, the Albany County Pine Hills Land Authority, has been impaneled with your appointees as well as the county executives and the mayor of the city of Albany. And they've met twice, they've done all the housekeeping, and we will be meeting very shortly to discuss what and how we will submit bids. We will be going out with an RFP for underwriting services to issue the bonds in anticipation that we can reach an agreement on price. But that is a lot of work that is going to be before the Alliance and my team going forward. We also have on deck the demolition of the cold storage warehouse. We've been in talks with the CW Skyway Group, the owner of the property, which is owned by the Redburn Development Group. And we will be sending out an RFP by the end of this month for construction management and demolition services. As you know, the state of New York has contributed some $10 million to this demolition, and along with the $3 million from the county, we feel that the $13 million should be sufficient to take that building down and remediate the asbestos and take care of the construction and demolition debris that will be generated as a result of that. As you all know, this is a very different kind of demolition. This isn't going to be like Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, where you see the building implode and fireworks go up. The Conrail right-of-way on which all Amtrak Western traffic flows is immediately adjacent to this building. So this has to be taken down piece by piece. It's a very complicated demolition, and it has to be done without any interruption to the Amtrak train service in the process. We expect that that will start probably the first quarter of next year and probably run into the second quarter before it's completely demolished and taken care of. But we'll know better once we get the responses to the bids. We've also had some, some other companies that we've made some loans and grants to. Two, just as an example, a TCI company based down in the Queens Industrial Park. This is a company that rehabs and rebuilds transformers for the utility companies. These are those kind of ash can sized things you see hanging up on utility poles. They're filled with oil, and they break down from time to time. This company takes them in, recycles them, recycles the oil, working down at the Port of Queens, and we just gave them a stage grant to increase their business. It's a great operation, very diverse workforce. They recruit heavily from the BOCES program, and it's just a great company. Another one that we've just recently closed on is the Atlas Copco project out in Voorheesville. Again, another very solid corporate citizen of Albany County, has been there a long time, and are doing a very significant expansion out there, doing it in conjunction with the village of Voorheesville and the town of New Scotland. And I'm happy to report that the opportunities for Albany County on the economic development front are many, and I think we're now organized to do them. And I think with the, as and when the hotel tax is signed into law by the governor, that will give us some more resources to do the things that you've all charged us with doing. So that concludes my general comments, Madam Chairwoman. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. And James Riley has a much better grasp of the numbers, and Luke Rogers has been instrumental in many of these projects and initiatives that we've taken, and he's here to answer any questions as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So before we move more forward, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. I do want to acknowledge the Chair of Public Works, which is the Honorable Bill Ricard, our Majority Leader, which is the Honorable Dennis Feeney, our Minority Leader. Oh, again, I can hear myself. All right, again, so we have the Honorable Mr. Moriello, who is the leader of the Minority Caucus. Also, our Chair of Personnel is Ms. Lynn Gaddis. She's here tonight. And also Ray is the Chair of our Health Committee. The other thing is this, I know I have to speak up now. Can everybody hear me now? Okay, good.
Hold on. What'd you say?
Oh, we have new mics in the middle, so be aware that they pick up everything. So if you're having a whispered conversation on the side, it will hear it, and Nicely will be able to hear you, and therefore you will be on YouTube. So keep that in mind when making any comments on the side.
Thank you for that caution.
The other thing tonight, we also have the Chair of Social Services, which is Ella Rosano, and we have the Chair of the Economic Development Committee, which is the Honorable Gary Demolowitz. We have the Chair of Public Safety, which is the Honorable Frank Camiso. If I did miss someone, you need to tell me now. I don't want anybody saying you didn't call my name. Okay, thank you very much. So now we will move on, since we've done our housekeeping, and I'm going to open the floor to questions now. Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kevin, maybe you're the one, or you, the other fellows here, can help me with some of the clarifications I'd like to get from the economic development page, beginning on page 102. The first line is, your salary for this year is 136, going to 140. But an article in the Albany Business Review said that's not the total compensation. They said there's an additional 50,000 from the Alliance. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
What was the genesis of that?
The Advanced Albany County Alliance board offered me a contract, and I signed it for a total compensation of $200,000. And so it's whatever I received from the county as Director of Economic Development, the additional amount is applied to that from the Alliance for a total compensation of $200,000.
Where we don't have a sustaining revenue stream, you've talked a lot about it. How can you make, this was a 5-year contract?
Correct.
So this is a $1 million commitment. How can you make that $1 million commitment when we don't have a sustained revenue source?
Well, I understand we do have a sustained, well, we almost have a sustained revenue.
Yeah, no, the hotel occupancy tax has passed the state, which is the governor to sign it effective January 1st.
So the assumption is that the hotel tax will pass.
Well, it has passed.
And that will fund the Alliance in part your salary.
But no, it has passed. It passed through the state assembly and Senate.
Well, yeah, the governor has to sign it, that's my understanding. Okay. Also on the Stage Act, I'm very interested in how much we've actually expended there, but there are different numbers depending on the 2025 budget and the 2024 budget. So, and that's why I want some clarity. For example, in the 25 budget, you list 2023 as 0 for Stage Act funding, but for the '24 budget, it's listed as $4 million.
So
So you
that-
can clarify year by year if you can, because the two budgets, they contradict each other.
It literally comes down to, it was an accounting entry, I don't know what exactly happened when it was booked by the comptroller's office. They booked it into the beginning of the year for the prior period, so that's why you're showing different years.
So-
Budgeted versus expended.
When was the first year of spending?
Just to go year by year, the
Yeah.
first stage award, or stage funding rather, was $4 million in 2023,
Okay.
followed by $6 million in 2024, and there's proposed $3 million for 2025.
Okay. Because I raised the issue of how much money is available for us to spend, and Stage Act is a good example. It was created a few years ago, and we spent quite a bit of money. So it's an indication to me that we do have money available to spend in these cases. Also, one final question, if I might, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
please.
The Housing Trust Fund, that's new. It's $400,000. Exactly how will that money be spent, and what exactly are we going to do with the money?
So that was an initiative brought to us by legislative leadership, actually, so your question would be better posed.
But it's not in the legislature budget, it's in your budget. So what is your plan to spend that money?
I think we'll work on developing a plan in conjunction with the legislature to best utilize the funds.
That's not really clear for a $400,000 expenditure. You're really not sure how you're going to spend it then?
I think it was asked and answered. He gave you an answer.
Not to me.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but he did give an answer. Mr. Demolowitz.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The workforce development, how do you see that coming into play with the $427,000?
So we've already been in discussions with Hudson Valley Community College. It's looking like it's going to be a bifurcated program, both for county employees and for outside constituents. The county employee piece is going to be looking at different jobs we have around the county and utilizing a program that Hudson Valley already has called Life Credits, where we can take aspects of their jobs and say, oh, if you're an account clerk 2 in DSS, you already can test out of these 3 classes working towards your associates. You don't even have to take those classes, saving them time and money. The outside piece is going, for the constituents, is going to be, and we're still hammering out the details of it, but a partial scholarship program for students going to the aircraft mechanic program out of the airport.
With what's the budget for the Alliance?
Well, it's the budget amount from the county.
No,
total
what's the
budget.
Alliance budget?
I don't have that in front of me. I think our Paris reporting budget, I think, is about $1.3 million.
$1.3 million?
Yeah.
And
That includes, as you know, Mr. Lowe, it's the management fees we get from the CRC, the IDA.
yeah, no, I just want to know what your bottom line. So when do you see the Alliance being self-sustaining?
I think it is going to require support up until such time as we have a source of recurring revenue or project revenue. For example, and by that I mean the Altech Steel site. As we redevelop that property, we will generate development fees from that, which will go into the Alliance and be able to fund our support. But
Would that go into the
think that's
Alliance or the
probably-
IDA?
I'm sorry?
Would that go into the Alliance or the IDA?
That would go into the Alliance. Yeah, that's not an IDA project, that's an Alliance.
Oh, so they're not looking for any tax abatements, or recording tax, or sales tax abatements?
They might come to that, but right now, it'll be a property that's not on the tax rolls. We're filing for tax exemption, so when the Alliance comes to take title to the property in January, it will be an exempt parcel, so there will be no property taxes until and unless at such time that a private enterprise locates on there. And those projects, Gary, may in fact be IDA projects.
Well, if they go non-exempt, then they'd go CRC project.
Yeah.
Because now you guys, Classified
Exemption will
property.
be filed by the Alliance during their time of prepping the site for a future project. That future project would likely be a private project that would be IDA.
you mentioned Redburn and with the CW warehouse. I was under the assumption that they're out. Once they decided not to participate in tearing the building down, that they were taken out of the contract, and now it's open, and so when that comes down, we're gonna go out to RFP looking for developers. Has that changed?
Well, it's my understanding that the Redburn subsidiary, CW Skyway, is in fact the owner of title to the property. We're talking to them right now and figuring out the best way for us to undertake this development. And that may be that the Alliance just buys Redburn out of the building, and we do the demolition on our own. There are some other issues about if you're a private company, the $10 million Restore New York grant, and even the $3 million from the county is counted as income and thereby taxed. So that would reduce the $13 million, and that just won't work. So we're talking to Redburn about perhaps purchasing the property outright and doing that demolition. What happens after the fact is not yet known. That'll be something that we'll be looking at and working with the city and determining.
Well, that's not what I was told in the finance committee. And we'll try to see if we can find those tapes. Because I explicitly asked that question. So why would we be using $10 million, $11 million of taxpayer funding to take a building down to only enhance private property, private investment?
The property regardless will come to the county. That's not what you're saying. They are the current property owner. The question is when they can change.
Yeah.
Now or at the end.
Yeah, but you know, Gary, your point is spot on. We will not and cannot give any private property owner the benefit of a $13 million effort. That's not what will happen. Once the project is demolished, if the Alliance doesn't own it by then, or the county, it will be transferred back to them. That will all be a part of it. What happens after that time, it's too early to say. You know, there are some people, as you know, that would like to see the property developed in some way, shape, or form related to waterfront or waterfront maritime tourism type, because the historic Erie Lock 1 is located just adjacent to the site.
Yeah, I understand that this is a very interesting project that is going on, and of course, we're all very interested in it because of that huge eyesore. It's in my district too. And so we do understand that somewhere along the way, we do need, I think, some type of report to the legislature as to what, you know, where we are with that storage building. And so I won't ask you to go into every detail tonight, but, you know, if at some point we could just have that report and then something that can be presented to the body.
And just one more question.
Okay.
On the cultural and arts support to 250, they reduced that down. Do you see, probably for them to get more, what your plans are, what's going to
Yeah, I
help
get
them
it.
off that for?
So, yeah, that program is being developed and is expected to basically kick off later this year. The reason for the change in the funding is really just a matter of timing. So, because it is launching later in the year, it made sense to reduce the amount for next year and sort of think of those collective funds as the initial launch, and then in 2026 evaluate what is the best sort of ongoing and regular funding, probably somewhere in between those two numbers.
When did the board approve your 5-year contract?
The last meeting of the Alliance.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Mr. Commisso.
Yes. How does CW come into play, Skyway, with Redburn?
The way I understand it, Frank, is that it's just an LLC that they created to hold the property, probably for liability purposes, but it's a LLC with a single member owner. The single owner is Redburn Development, but it's, you know, they set it up just to protect themselves from liability, I imagine.
From the county?
No, just in general.
I think they have a liability with the county,
I'm not
especially
aware
if
of
we're
that.
gonna sit down and have them negotiate with the county and make a profit as to what the contract originally was. They're not deserving of any additional funds from the county other than what was agreed upon initially. They couldn't deliver the project that was set forth in the very beginning, and I don't think that I could support this without finding out what Redburn is doing, forming another corporation to protect it from any damages. And that's what they're doing here. That's the way the business world works. But I'm not gonna be able to sit here and be supportive of something like that unless we find out more details as to what's happening. As far as negotiating to give them a profit, I don't think that's fair.
I don't think that's anyone's intention that I've spoke to.
Well, you're saying you're negotiating with them.
Well, they're
What
the
are we
owner-
negotiating?
They're the owner of the property. We have to get title to the property.
Okay, so let me just say this. I think we're talking about the same thing that I said we needed a report on. Is that correct? Okay, so I would like, for just right now, we're not gonna continue the discussion on the central warehouse. That is the discussion at the moment, and that is the one that we do want to report on. We still have a ways to go as far as, the budget is concerned, and hopefully before we vote, on this, okay, you can provide us with just an up-to-date report on central warehouse.
We'll do, Madam Chair.
Okay, does everybody understand? The central warehouse is done with right now, okay? All right? Any other members? Okay, all right.
I would just say that before we move forward with any kind of contract with this, that we meet with the Economic Development Committee and get a full detailed explanation of what they're doing, what the county's doing, and how they're moving forward with that project.
And so that's where the report will come. It will go to the Economic Development Committee. Everybody knows that, that's interested in it. That's where that report will come out, in that Economic Development Committee, all right? Ms. Petto?
Thank you, Chair. You appreciate the explanation of the workforce development line and the forethought that went into creating that line at this time when we have such demands on our workforce. Wondering how aircraft and mechanical was identified as a target for that, and also if there's other opportunities to create other scholarships and other types of programs that would help to fill maybe some of the positions that we actually have here at the county that are wanting. I'm thinking specifically of nurses, other healthcare workers, mental health workers, and those types of positions.
It's definitely something we can look at. The aircraft had just come about because they recently got clearance to basically, I think it was either double their capacity or add 50% of their capacity because they're able to utilize the full space of their hangar out of the airport. So as we're talking about the other idea, this came up as well. Seeing how they're very good paying jobs for a single certificate after high school, it seems like a great opportunity to provide some local residents some good paying local jobs.
And that's a sort of a county adjacent program because it's centered at the county airport. But there are a number of other workforce development initiatives that we've supported, a lot of them through ARPA. So as you know, we've provided almost $3 million in both workforce development grant programs to providers, but also $1 million is being utilized that companies can take advantage of to provide on-the-job training and new hire training to their employees. So the workforce development is a very complex web, and so we really try to find the ways to strategically get involved and support it without duplicating any of the other efforts that are going on, whether it's Hudson Valley or BOCES or the Workforce Development Board or so on and so forth.
And as the ARPA money dries up as we go forward, I would hope that this line would be preserved and
Okay.
the county would take on more
Thank you.
responsibility for that.
Okay, excuse me. All right, Mr. Epicoro.
Yes, thank you very much. Do we have any funding for the Pine Hills Land Authority for 2025?
No, there is not a separate car. What the intent is, if right now, the Albany County Pine Hills Land Authority is being funded by the Alliance, which isn't very much, it's just minor, administrative stuff, some legal fees. But ultimately, the plan is that the expenses of the authority would be capitalized into a bond issue that they would issue, and that would provide for the operating expenses of the authority as well as the operating maintenance and security of the St. Rose campus. Now, all this hinges upon us reaching an agreement with the bankruptcy court on the properties of the college, which may or may not happen.
So, just to understand what you just said, is if the college, because technically I believe they should end the maintenance of the buildings at the end of this year. Now, when that maintenance by the College of St. Rose ends at the end of the year, is the Alliance or is the county going to be providing maintenance there? Or what?
The only thing that I know in that regard is what the motions that have been filed in the federal bankruptcy court, and there is a motion that they filed to generate some revenue to support the maintenance, operations, and security of the properties through into at least the second, if not the end of 2025.
So the College of St. Rose has filed a request for that support?
Yeah, the bank, now that they filed bankruptcy court, they can't spend any money unless it's approved by the bankruptcy court. And they did file a motion to make some funds available so that they could continue to maintain and operate the campus.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gus. And just clarification, the county does not have possession of those buildings.
You are absolutely correct, Madam Chairman.
Okay, all right. Okay, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry, Ray. It's okay. Mr. Joyce.
Thank you. Just to follow up on the Albany County Pine Hills Land Authority, it was my assumption that JLL was going to sell the properties by December 31st. Are they moving those sale date back into 2025 now?
Yeah, all that has been changed. Now that they filed for bankruptcy, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which any of you who are familiar with bankruptcy, I'm not particularly, but thankfully. But they filed motions with the bankruptcy court for a timeline that would accelerate the auctioning off of the properties before the end of the year, perhaps even as early as beginning of December.
Thank you.
Just one real question.
Okay, I just want to check one thing. Does anybody else have any other questions?
It's my understanding that the bondholders are out now seeking bids on that property.
I'm not aware of that, Mr. Gary.
I read it in the Times Union, so it's got to be right.
They don't have it. It's not the bondholders. They have a.
Okay. Can I?
No, it just to clarify this, and I think Chairwoman Willingham said it. The College of St. Rose owns all of the properties. The bondholders don't own them. None of the other creditors own them. Ultimately, that may come to pass. Right now, the College of St. Rose is still in control and ownership of all of the properties of the College of St. Rose.
And they hired someone to try to sell
They
the
hired
project as a whole.
Well, they hired a real estate firm, JLL, the old Jones Lang LaSalle, big national real estate firm, to determine the value and to see what interest there might be in buying the campus. It is the stated policy of the Albany County Pine Hills Land Authority that they would like to buy the entire campus for nothing at all.
Okay, thank you. Until we reach a point where the county actually has possession and can actually make decisions, I'm just going to close the case on this. Right now, we're going to move forward. All right, are there any other questions? If not, I want to say good night. Okay, Ms. LaVilliard.
Quick question, this is the,
Can you speak up?
Economic Development and Conservation Planning Department, right? So, you talked a lot about workforce development, economic development. Could you describe what planning initiatives, land use planning initiatives you have for 2025?
Yeah, I'll let Luke handle that.
Yeah, no, happy to, and, you know, historically, as you probably know, most of the planning initiatives that take place in the county take place at the more local level, so the city, town, and village level. Where we get involved is certainly education and sort of sharing best practices with communities and supporting their efforts, and then occasionally in specific planning efforts. So, you know, we recently created or completed our climate resiliency plan, which was a planning document. You know, every 5 counties received that grant. It generally went to planning departments, so that was a planning exercise. Other, you know, our hazard mitigation plan as well is something that's overseen by a planning entities. So it's not the sort of land use planning per se, because that's handled at the local level, but there are several general planning initiatives that run through either the county executive's office or that office. But as you know, it's not an office that is staffed with a substantial planning staff, and there's a long history to that, which we certainly don't have time for now. So those responsibilities, sort of on an ad hoc basis, are handled in conjunction between the department, the natural resources conservation, our planning staff who work at the public works department, and the county executive's office.
So just
Okay.
to follow up.
Okay, and we're gonna keep this moving. We've been here 30 minutes on this one, and we got to move on. We got like 7 more. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Oh, my follow-up, so it sounds like you could use additional staff to do some initiatives.
I don't know that I can answer that. I mean, I think the budget that's put forward is the request of the department, I can say that much. I think that we have not had any issue taking on these initiatives as appropriate. I think it's more about finding, every county takes a different approach to this. It's more centralized in some counties, it's more diffuse in other counties. And so finding that what is the appropriate role for county planning activities could be an ongoing conversation, but obviously there's not an imminent request for any additional staff for planning that we're putting forward.
Thank you. All right, I want to thank you, Mr. O'Connor, Mr. Valley, and Mr. Rogers. We're gonna move on now.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And we will be submitting a 2024 annual report to the legislature in January of, early January of next year on our activities over the whole year.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to just remind our members, there's many of us, I think there's 17 or 18. I want to remind the members, there's like 18 of us now seated, okay? Be mindful and respectful of one another. And if I see someone else's hand up, we're going to get one question, I'm going to move on to the next person. Everybody understand? I don't want anybody's feelings hurt or anything like that. I just want to make sure that everybody gets their questions answered this evening. Okay, we're going to move on now to the Civic Center. And Mr. Belber? And you have with you,
This is Jennifer Chaffee, she's our Director of Finance.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you to the members. I think this is my 30th year in proposing TLO. Just as a background for this budget, and then I'll go into a little bit more about where we are for this year, which I think is relevant to the budget going forward. Going forward in 2025, we will not have an NCAA championship event, which this year the women's basketball generated over $500,000 in net operating profit for the county. And we don't have an event like that. Next year, we had basketball for men in 2023, which was a make good for the 2020 year that didn't happen because of COVID. We have NCAA hockey coming in 2026. But 25 is one of those years where it's a down year from the NCAA championship scenarios. The concert scenario, Live Nation, which is, as many people know, is the biggest promoting arm or promoter in the country. They are heavily focused, and will be in 2025, on doubling the number of stadium shows. And the reason for that is 2026, most of the stadiums will not be available because of the World Cup that's going to be in many of the stadiums. So in 2025, we're more or less doubling down and putting in a lot more stadium shows. And that's going to seriously impact the number of arena shows. And as a result of that, what we're seeing now on our day holds for arena concerts for 2025 are substantially fewer concert holds as compared to what we had at this time last year when we look forward for the 2024 budget. So we have put in our budget what we think is a real number for the number of concerts. There are some other elements in our budget that are impacted as well. The family shows are going to be less in 2025. This is not doomsday. At the end of the day, we'll find whatever we can to make sure that we fill the dates. But Feld Entertainment, which has Ringling Circus and Disney on Ice and Monster Trucks and Marvel Universe Live, that's the biggest family show producer. Marvel Universe Live was scheduled to come in October of 2025. They lost their contract rights to the Marvel name and likeness, and therefore the tour was canceled. So we won't have Marvel Universe Live in October. Disney on Ice usually comes in the first week of December. That's going to be the first week of 2026, so they're moving. So that's why you'll see not a bad budget. The budget that we submitted has a net operating profit for the county of $1,340,000. The budget in 2024 was $1,319,000. So we're budgeting more than we budgeted for 2024. But when you look at the comparison of where we're forecasting to be at the end of this year in net operating profit, which is over $2.5 million, we're going to set a record for the highest net operating profit for the MVP Arena and all the names before it in the history of the building in 34 years. This year, this is going to be the highest profit since it opened. There will be some of that will say, well, if you have $2.5 million this year, why is your budget $1,340,000? It's because of all the reasons that I just mentioned. Without the programming, without the events, the huge concerts, we have 3 fish shows that are going to take place tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Each one of those are sold out with 15,000 people. There's 45,000 people coming to the arena in the next 3 days. That won't happen in 2025. Springsteen, Stevie Nicks, Jelly Roll, all the shows that we had in 2024 were huge profit-making events. We'll have concerts next year. We have some that are on the books that are good. I can't say them all because the promoters haven't announced them yet. Probably 4 or 5 of them are going to be sellout shows. But comparatively to where we were this time last year, I probably had 7 or 8 booked that we knew were going to be high profit shows. So I want to say that we are conservatively putting a budget in front of you that we think, that I feel very confident that we're going to be able to hit. Most of the arenas across the country, and for many of those that are in the room that I've known for a long time, you all know that most of the arenas in the country break even or lose money. They very rarely make money. And we've kind of set the bar. I can tell you we've set the bar within our company. And most of the other best practices are being replicated by what we're doing in Albany. And we are right now the highest profit building in the secondary market in the country. So, so I'd open that up for any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. All right, I open any questions now. Yes, Mr. Cleary.
Secondary.
Great question. So primary markets are your top 50 markets that go from Kansas City to Dallas, obviously to Chicago, New York, LA. Secondary markets they're not must-play markets. And so when you have tours that go out with 30 to 50 dates, you're going to see them in each one of those primary markets that have populations of 2 million plus with bigger corporate bases. And a lot of them have NHL and NBA arenas that have 19,000 seats. So the money that can be taken out of the market by the artist is going to be a lot more in the primary markets. We've had probably more, I can say we've had more concerts that are top concerts that you would see in Madison Square Garden play in Albany than just about any other secondary market. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So we've focused on being the centrally located facility in the Northeast. So we try to catch them between Boston and Buffalo, and Boston and Philly. We have relationships with the agents at CAA and William Morris and the top agencies that allow us to be able to get shows better than a lot of the other buildings with incentive deals and with just the right things that work. Live Nation has a great incentive deal with us, but when they start focusing on doubling the number of outdoor stadium shows, that's going to hurt us. That's going to impact how many events we get. But even with that, we're strategizing with Live Nation to try to get them to focus on the support acts. I mean, many of you see Taylor Swift and some of the other tours. Well, behind Taylor Swift, there are 2 and 3 major artists that are supporting those stadium tours. Any one of those could be a headline artist that could play in the arena and sell out our building. And so we are working with Jimmy Koplik out of Connecticut, which is our regional Live Nation representative. And we are asking him to identify all the support artists that are on the stadium tours that are going to play in Philadelphia, New York, Boston, etc. Since we're 2.5 hours away from the stadium play, we're hoping to grab some of those support artists to get one-off plays. So they won't have their own tours, but we might be able to get them to come in and play a date between stadiums. So while the budget is $1,340,000, I will tell you that we're going to do everything we can to make sure that that is way up higher than that.
Thank you. Mr. Tomalowicz.
Bob, when you talk net profit, you're talking net operating profit. The arena itself loses money. Once you take in consideration the debt service, which you have no control over. But,
Yeah.
so I mean, we can say, yeah, the arena's making money, but in reality, it doesn't make money, like all the other ones that you've mentioned, that don't make money.
I think this year it probably will. I don't have the debt service numbers. but
Last I heard it was $1 million something.
It's a big number.
What was it?
It's a big number.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah, but if the debt service is $1 million something and we have $2.5 million going to the county, there's definitely going to be a profit. But, and I don't know how much the hotel tax is that comes in. That part of that budget is something that we don't control, as you said. But I'm talking about even a net operating profit before debt service. Other buildings are losing money. And most of that, I will be honest, is because the arenas have given away the rights to the permanent advertising. They've given away the revenues from the suites, premium seats. We've held on to 100% of those revenues to the bottom line for the county. When the AHL team came to us, hockey team came to us and asked to have the suite revenues and the advertising revenues, we said no. And almost every other building in the country gave those away. And the teams were there and left, and you know, there's been a spring back to a degree in some of the arenas. But at the end of the day, we've held on to those revenues and generated profit for the overwhelming majority of 34 years.
Now, when do you see more wrestling coming? Wrestling seems to sell out. I mean, it's big.
Yeah, so AEW wrestling's coming in November. We have WWE coming back in May. WWE was purchased by William Morris Agency, WME, and they are reducing the number of tour dates that they're going to actually play. So I think we'll have WWE at least once per year. We'll have AEW at least once a year. So we'll have 2 pro wrestling events each year.
Okay.
One more quick, what do you see that the arena needs to be
Gary?
done first?
Mr. Tomalowicz. We have how many? 5, 6, or more to go?
That's by 3 minutes.
Okay, yes, okay. Please, okay? All right, okay, Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, just follow up on Gary's question, because It's amazing the net operating profit you produce. You are the best in the business, Bob. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you.
But it's partially the cost of taxpayers is the debt on that building, and there's always, I've seen the debt on that. It would be wonderful for, and maybe this is stuff you can work with our management budget, to know every year how much it's actually cost the taxpayer, or in fact there was a true profit. Because that's how we make judgments about how we continue to pour debt money into the facility, because we want a nice facility, and it has a lot of, it produces a lot of assets for our community. But at the same time, I don't think we have a true picture of what the building actually cost us.
So
Okay,
nobody
wait.
answering that?
Yeah. Now, okay, I just want to, I guess I need some clarity myself. Okay, but there's something as far as the arena itself is concerned, and then what the county's responsibility as far as that building itself, the events that go on in the building versus the county owns the building. Is that right, Mr. Riley? Okay, the county owns the MVP arena.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are responsible for. Can you make that clear? Just give everybody a 1 minute. Okay, the division between what Mr. Belber does and what we need to be talking to him about, as opposed to the arena itself and the maintenance of it. Okay.
So even down to the capital plan, general services is kind of the point on the capital plan at the direction of Bob and his company for what they feel the arena needs for the day-to-day operations. We have a contract with ASM Global. You guys handle everything basically.
It's with SMG. SMG is a subsidiary of ASM Global. And we handle all the management of the facility. We work very closely with Dave in DGS and the county exec's office as it relates to the capital plan, which is presented to the legislature for approval. But if you don't mind, I'd like to just answer the question that was put forward.
Okay.
Because this has come up before in other years, and I know you've been aware of this too. It would be very easy to see what the debt service is, and then what the hotel tax is, or the portion that is attributed and put towards the debt service, along with our profit from the operation of the facility, so that you could easily see how much money is either lost or made. And that has been provided in the past.
It has been, but I think you're gonna get to the point that I was about to leave as well. No. That still is only a partial look at the economic impact of the arena. So it's the question, how many steps do you wanna take? Like, yes, you can add in the debt service, that's another step. But how are you gonna, are you quantifying all the hotel rooms, all the restaurant, meals of people coming into town, all the parking lots around here that charge $10? Like you can go 5-6 steps further. It's a question of how far do you want to go and how easy it is to get that far down the rabbit hole.
That's a whole nother side, because I can tell you that we've done some analysis on that. There's over $100 million a year in economic impact with the hotels and restaurants.
Yeah, I just think those numbers should be available so we can make these judgments. It's worth it relative to these economic assets that you mentioned.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
I think you finally got a reasonable answer that you can live with.
That's fantastic. Yes, that's good, yeah. I've been asking for years, you're right.
You're right. Okay, all right. We're gonna move on, okay?
Very quick.
Thank you.
All right, is SMG responsible for the maintenance of the walkway between the parking garage and the state building?
Yes.
This is just a very quick aside. I've left about 4, maybe 5 messages with the whomever answers the phone there. And it's more of an appearance issue. There's a lot of smoking and vaping and smoking of cannabis and et cetera that goes on in the walkway. I was just hoping some no smoking signs would go up.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Sure.
Okay.
Done.
Okay, we're sticking to the budget right now, everybody, okay? All right, so we're gonna move on.
Can I just say something?
Okay, and is it on the budget?
On the budget? Yes, it's not a question. I just want to say.
It's not a question?
I just want to say that this is probably one of the best presentations I've ever listened to here. And so great job.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
And that's a programming question, it's obviously related to the budget. Ask that question for them.
Bill Ricard is trying to say something down there at that
Oh, you
end.
can't hear me? See, my wife always yells at me, she says I talk too loud, so apparently I'm not talking too loud, right?
No, no, you
Thank you. Just a quick question, though. A couple things. In getting to your point, actually, Dave,
And quick.
Some things can be modified.
I mean quick.
By complaint, as far as the economic development, opportunities you have there. My favorite subject of that is the AFL team. Everything's going to go forward in 2025?
The arena football team?
Yeah.
Yes, the arena football team actually is going to be part of what's called the AFL 1. It's a new league that's being formed by the 8 team owners of the AFL that were in the AFL this past year. So they're forming their own league, it's called AFL 1. They're planning to have at least 12, if not 16 teams. They're going to be more stable this year and going forward with this new league, because the owners will all control the league rather than having an individual own the league. And this is much more in depth. These teams all were told that they had to put $1 million into the league originally before last season. And then the money surprisingly was not there when it was supposed to be there. And yet they still were able to put the season on. And the 8 teams that were privately owned still had a season last year, thankfully. The fans in Albany were able to still see arena football, and they packed the arena. We had really good crowds. I think it's going to get back to where it was. We were averaging 10,000 to 12,000 people per game back in 2018 and 2019. I think we'll get back there.
Okay, thank you very much.
The only other thing,
And let me say this, let me say this.
I can give one.
No. Let me say this again, okay? It is, we're an hour into this. How many do I have left? 6. I have 6 left, okay? We're gonna go home tonight before midnight. Okay, everybody got that? All right, so now, I'm just asking, let us be aware that we're talking about the budget. Everything that you have described as far as how the event is very interesting. You got 30 years in there, but you know, we can't tell the whole story tonight, okay? And I will admit you mesmerized me when you begin to talk about it too. But please, let's stay on the budget, on budget questions. So right now, so you got 2 minutes.
It was just a quick question. Minor league hockey, I was going to follow up that.
Sure. Minor league hockey requires a minimum of 38 dates, and they require Fridays and Saturday nights. You can't have pro lacrosse, arena football, and Siena basketball, and still have dates available for concerts that make most of the money for the county. Not that I don't like hockey, I love hockey, but it just doesn't financially work in the facility at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ricard. All right, we are now going to relieve you. And thank you very much for your presentation. And I have to say, it's been very interesting and a little eye-opening for all of us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to move on down to Parks and Rec, and that will be the Commissioner of Parks, John A. And
Doing very well. Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
Say this is my first one. I hope to be lucky enough as Mr. Belver and to come back 29 more times. Honorable Chair Wanda Willingham, esteemed members of the Audit and Finance Committee, and distinguished guests, thank you for the opportunity to present the Department of Parks and Recreation's 2025 budget proposal this evening. I want to extend my gratitude to the outstanding staff of Parks and Recreation who have faced numerous challenges and have constantly delivered exceptional services to the residents of Albany County. Deputy Commissioner Alexander Robert, who is here with us today, exemplifies our team's dedication and hard work. On behalf of the county and the department, I want to publicly acknowledge and express our appreciation for your efforts. Al, your commitment has not gone unnoticed. To keep my introduction brief, as everyone will appreciate, I will focus on initiatives not mentioned in our current year's budget highlights as we close out this year. Parks and Recreation is gearing up for an exciting 2025. Our third annual Fall Fest was a resounding success with over 400 registered runners, numerous attendees, and a children's race. If you couldn't join us, you missed a fantastic band and an opportunity to meet a remarkable 99-year-old World War II veteran, or hero. Well, at the time, he was 99. Our Taekwondo program continues to flourish, offering more training levels for returning students and generating a growing wait list. In 2025, we will expand our classes to Shaker Place for staff and residents. Additionally, we are exploring introducing a senior self-defense introduction of senior self-defense classes. We are also excited about the expansion of our computer training program, which will provide free materials to all Albany County residents, catering to all age groups. We have numerous initiatives launching in 2025, including esports, ham radio communications, senior games in collaboration with the Department for Aging, school field trips, among others. One of our most exciting developments is the recent investment in the Cohoes Community Center. We are still assessing the potential opportunities this location offers, but we are exploring the ideal of an aquatic center that will provide family-friendly environment for all ages. This facility could include lifeguard certification programs, swimming lessons, a gymnasium, a weight room, commercial kitchen, and ample open space, both indoors and outdoors with Wi-Fi. The addition of this facility will expand our services and create new positions within the department. Moreover, we anticipate the facility will generate revenue hopefully equaling or surpassing the $400,000 generated by the hockey facility. While we focus on increasing revenue, we remain committed to our primary goal, providing free or low-cost programming to those who might not otherwise have access to such experiences. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Great.
Very
Okay.
good.
All right, Mr. Demolovich.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Could you explain to me, our committee in detail, the 4 new positions that you created and what they'll be doing and where they'll be working?
4 new positions, they still depend on when we get access to the facility, and what we know, what resources we have, that will develop them. But currently, right now, that is Recreational Service Administrator, Special Projects and Strategic Coordinator, Training and Development Specialist, and Senior Aquatic Recreation Specialist. The first position, we're supervising, coordinating recreation programs and certificates, and additional programs are therefore to support the programs that we would like to introduce.
And what about the special projects and training?
So looking at that as of right now, as it stands, we looked at to establish projects, keep our plans on track, track progress, locate resources, and for multi-generational recreational disciplines. For the training development special one, look at that as an entry-level coordinator position, recording for aquatic, gymnasium, and culinary activities. For the senior aquatic recreation specialist, performs major administrative duties, oversight of the training programs for the aquatic centers, for the pools specifically, and also we have access to the
So
weight
these are
room.
for Cohoes.
Well, right now, that is the plan, depending on how it develops, that could be incorporated into the entire recreation department. But right now, yes, that is
Are any of these
focused.
going to be towards Lawson Lake?
They could cross over with Lawson Lake, they would benefit with Lawson Lake. So the aquatic specialist with that could oversee some programs and services that go with Lawson Lake.
Okay, I have a question. I know years ago, I don't know if you're familiar with Camp Opportunity, that ran out of, Lawson Lake up there, okay? And can you just give a very brief overview as to what is supposed to happen up there?
Well, I know that is still probably in the production, so I know just getting up to speed on that one. Dave, you have any more?
I was actually seeing Commissioner Latino was on.
Yeah.
Can you give a quick run through on the status of those?
And this is to more or less,
Camp opportunities.
yeah, and this is to more or less revive all of those cabins up there and open, I guess you could say, the park back up to
Yes.
many more organizations?
Right now, the upper camp right now is being under development, which I think everybody in the Public Works Committee knows, and most legislators know. The progress up there is going very, very well and very, very fast. It's going to be a bigger facility that's going to be able to use for whatever camp opportunities may need. We're going to have a full kitchen up there, full meeting areas up there, along with the lower camp, which is run by Brian McCoy in the Sheriff's Department. Does a lot of work down there with day camps. So I believe, you know, we're going to do some more improvements down at the lower camp later on. But right now, our big focus is getting that upper camp up and ready to do a lot of things for camp opportunities and a lot of kids from the inner city.
Good.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A budget is a system of priorities. If I ask you what your priorities are, you can tell me from the budget. What concerns me about the Parks and Rec, I'm all for Park and Rec's activities, but going through the budget, this has been placed number one of all the agencies that we have. What am I talking about? In just 2 years, there's a 102% increase in personnel costs. In 2 years at the Parks and Rec, the spending is up 77% in those 2 years. This is placed as a higher priority than mental health, public safety, homeless shelter, substance abuse treatment. All of those have taken a backseat to Park and Rec based on this spending, which is pretty clear. So my question for you, and it's a high bar, is why should Parks and Rec spending be placed above everything else in the county?
Well, I do believe that over the last 2 years, I'm not sure how it was managed, but moving forward, Parks and Recreation offers an opportunity to individuals that many of those other departments don't have. We can work with any department we have in the county. We can provide programs for mental health, for crime victims, all that within our department. We touch on every aspect of the county and every service that they provide. Many departments have a specific focus that they have. Our focus for Parks and Recreation is focusing on dreams for the youth, dreams for the elderly, seniors, and everybody in between. Look at recreation as not just a sport, not just coming together to play games, but as a leisure. Everybody takes part in their leisurely activities. This is what keeps people calm, peaceful, lowers stress levels, increases health and wellness, increases productivity. So if we do not, and it also has an impact on the environment. We take care of the land, we provide education services so people can grow and understand opportunities with that. So therefore, I would say we play a vital role in every portion of the county. So therefore, yes, it should be looked at highly.
Okay, I mean, you're a good advocate for your department, but we have tons of departments and they all have critical needs. And that's the concern I have is it seems to be an imbalance here relative to all the other agencies that have substantial needs.
And I would entertain moving forward as where Parks and Recreation is going. If you see identify critical needs for other departments, I see that there's a role for Parks and Recreation to assist in that, whether it be the staff or the population that the department may serve.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so listen. Mr. Joyce, Mr. Ricard, did I see somebody down here? And Mr. He had his hand up, okay? And then, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody got it? All right, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. Yeah, you got it? All right, go ahead.
No pressure.
No pressure, you got your time here, go.
So it's important work what you do. The City of Albany had a similar program when they closed it. I think something like in the range of 6,000 kids went through the City of Albany program, and we're seeing now the result of the closure of those programs for children. So it's important what you do. I appreciate the investments in your department. Speaking of the investments, Mark mentioned personnel, but I see the equipment expenses are up. I was following the fees for services, but safety equipment up 18,000, recreation, miscellaneous 25, 29,000. Are these associated with HOSE Community Center? Is there programming, new programming, special projects you spoke to? I'm just curious what.
Primarily looking at the HOSE, but also with the projects. One in particular is our Taekwondo program. That is a program that has grown exponentially. We have a vast waiting list. We're looking at creating new, and I've also provided this in a response email, so I'll try to be brief. We've provided new levels of Taekwondo because we have many returning, and with that comes more contact. We need to be conscious of safety for all of our residents. It requires more equipment, and that goes forward for many of our other programs, lacrosse, everything that's with new standards with NOXI. We have to meet those standards to provide a safe environment for our residents.
Well, thank you. It's worth the investment, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ricard.
Cheryl.
Talking loud.
Yeah.
So loud.
I I'm gonna make a statement, not actually a question. I represent the city of Cohoes, and I've been doing this for 5 years in the city of Cohoes, so I was a councilman before that, but I've gotten so many calls and emails, text messages that my community centers have opened back up. And it's not just from the youth, the parents of the youth, it's the elderly, the aquatic program. They just, I just got one last Saturday, called Gentlemen Up. Once and once and open back up, because he enjoys going there. You know, I said, well, you can go a couple other places in the interim, but it's so important. To Mark's, point and question, you can't quantify something a lot of times on a bottom line budget. I'm all for checks and balances, and I'm very conservative when it comes to, money, but in terms of costs, spending $60,000 for an aquatics director, there's a lot of work that goes into that. But the youth, the aquatics program, in terms of learning to swim, the elderly, very important. So get people off the street, it's very important, and it's money is well spent. It really is. I appreciate everything you do in the city of Cohoes. Hopefully we get it open sooner than later.
Thank you. Quick response to that. I would like to follow up on your points that you made and to address your concerns about the bottom line. These programs can save lives. We're teaching CPR, we're teaching lifeguarding, we're teaching people how to swim. There is a large amount of water resources around here in Albany and surrounding areas where people don't know how to swim. Countless people pass away through drownings many times, where if one life is saved from our programs, is that worth the bottom line?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
No. Did I go the right
Someone
way?
else?
Yeah, one, two, three. Yeah, you. Sure. Yes, you.
Thank you very much. Having been a product of the boys' clubs in the 1960s, I appreciate what you're doing and what the legislature's doing in the county executive. I much rather would have the kids in Albany have a fishing pole in their hand than a gun. And I think that this program and the initiative that you're doing is going a long way in helping that happen. As far as I'm concerned, you can't put enough money into recreation, parks and recs, into the youth of Albany County. Back in the day, we used to have Camp Thatcher. It was run by the Boys Club. We went up there in the 60s, we'd go up for 2 weeks at a time, sometimes a month at a time if they didn't fill vacancies. So it got us out of the city. When that's done, Lawson Lake is going to be such a great asset to the kids in the city to get away for a week, whatever you guys plan on doing. I think it's wonderful. And if there's anything that I can do to help to make sure that is well funded, because I wouldn't want to see the same thing happen to our programs that happen to the Boys and Girls Clubs. And so, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cleary.
Yeah, I'm in support of your department. I agree with Bill said and Gary said. I'm kind of confused about Mr. Grimm's statement that it's going up so much percent, the other departments aren't. Well, maybe, and I don't know, maybe it was underfunded for the last 10 years. And that's it. So kind of the statement seems a little weird to me, but I do support the park members, and you guys do a great job. And if Mr. Grimm can kind of make it a better statement, I consider it, but I think what we are putting into that is as well as spending.
All right, can I respond to that, Madam Chair?
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. I will say this. I heard what you had to say, Mr. Grimm, and the responses, and I wasn't going to say anything because I do feel that you have been, responded to, okay? Oh, excuse me. I won't say you have been responded to. I will say this, that the opinions of others that have spoken deals with the issue surrounding the explanation that he gave of the importance of the agency that he is running now. It also speaks to something that Mr. Cleary just said, that it's something that has not been funded to the extent that it should be. There's also something that Mr. John A. brought up in regards to really how this stretches out and the arteries that it takes up, okay? And the different agencies that do benefit and all its families, but it just doesn't come from the city of Albany. It comes from those people that are up there also, in the rural parts. I don't care where you go. Everyone from every facet of Albany County go to Lawson Lake. They utilize the camps We said, they say idle hands are the devil's workshop. And in the summertime, we have people coming from Queens, Board of Elite, Albany, Cohoes, everywhere trying to get up into that park to get these kids and families out so that they have something to do. And so I have a great concern to ensure that this particular agency is kept funded. Also, too, the fact that I'd like to know the increase in the numbers, because you may not be aware of Camp Opportunity, but that was a place that was run, that was packed every single summer, took kids off of the streets. And so I would say that I never went to Camp Opportunity because, you know, it all depends upon your household. I never went, but I know around me, I know I sent my son to Camp Opportunity, and that was the place to meet. That was the place to learn team skills. That was the place to learn how to get along with folks and have something to do. So I'm going to shut my mouth right now. You've had your say, okay? Does anybody else have anything they want to say about this? Okay? Ms. Robinson.
Sure, I wasn't holding my thoughts, but my colleague mentioned something about, you know, he wanted to see, he don't want to see the guns in the kids up there in city hands, right? Which is totally true, but, you know, the district I represent, a lot of my constituents, their concern is there's not enough programs for the youth within my district, and that's coming from the city and the county. And I just want to know, can you identify specific programs that you have within Arbor Hill, South End, and West Hill area? You know, what programs is the county, you know what I'm saying, providing at this time to keep them guns out of the innocent children's hands? Because from what I see and from what my constituents tell me, you know, that we lack them programs for our kids.
I agree that access is a question. We do have plans in 2025 to try and tackle some issues and areas. We do have some transportation with the Boys and Girls Club that does bring members of that community out to Lawson's Lake. I would like to expand upon that. I would also like to expand the opportunity to work with everybody here at the table to see how can we truly tackle this problem. How can we provide resources for these communities? We would like to look at everybody who is underserved and find a way to resource that one. The city does have a recreations department that we do have a close relationship with. So I think that question that we can probably work with them, saying, hey, is there any ideas and concepts we can share? Because at the end of the day, we're all in the county and we all work together as an athlete. We have had good sportsmanship together and work well with each other. So I welcome any participation, any collaboration with anybody here or in the audience at the table.
I just want to thank you so much for your presentation. I also want to thank everyone for their comments that they gave too. And the only reason why I'm not letting you go again, because we keep going round and round and we be commenting on each other. So, but everything that was said, and I think, you know, even the point that you brought out generated, you know, a response that I think everybody needs to hear as far as what Mr. Johnny has had to say. So thank you. I'm looking for great things out of this agency in the upcoming months ahead. And we're going to move on now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Next is water purification. Yes, water purification, and Executive Director is Angelo Gaudio.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and hello, everybody. The district and our board of commissioners.
Go ahead.
The district and our board of commissioners feels that the budget that we presented for 2025, I believe, addresses the needs for the district. A couple things we want to touch on are current challenges that the district is facing, specifically staffing. We still are having challenges with recruitment, specifically with our water or wastewater operators and our labor titles. I know the Civil Service Department has launched a
recruiting portal online. We've had pretty good success with that actually lately, so I just want to acknowledge Hannah Black and civil service folks for launching that. That has been very helpful. For the last batch of resumes that we've gotten in have been significantly more so than our own efforts through Indeed. So that hopefully is going to help us address some of the shortages. Just in terms of overall vacancies, of the operator positions that we have 9 openings out of 33 positions, which essentially equates to a 27% vacancy rate. We're addressing that with overtime, so the overtime overages that we have for this year are basically due to those vacancies. We'll be doing an hourly litter this month for addressing the overtime shortage there, but we are looking to obviously get those positions filled. And we are going to be looking to modify some of the titling to address those vacancies. Same with our laborers. Our laborers currently are salaried below $40,000, and we're just having a difficult time with finding folks to come in and really have their hands in the muck on a daily basis. So we are looking to retitle the laborers to mechanic helper, title that not only will allow us to increase the salary, but also increase the skill sets of those individuals and hopefully allow them to kind of move vertically through the organization as compared to the challenges we have been having. Specifically, we've been getting ghosted a lot with interviews. We've had a couple instances where we've actually put offers out to folks, we're giving a verbal commitment, but then had those folks just not show up. So I guess it's been a difficult time just with finding folks. So in terms of the new positions in the retitling, a couple of positions I'll just highlight. With succession planning, we are looking to establish an assistant superintendent of operations. This is a critical position for us. As our superintendent currently, we have basically responsibility for both our treatment plants. So having an assistant in place allows for succession planning, also allows when our superintendent is unavailable or out for whatever reason that we have somebody kind of in a support role that can fill those responsibilities while he's out. One of the other things we're looking to do again is create the maintenance helper title, as I mentioned earlier. Again, that would essentially replace the labor titles, and hopefully with the higher salary and skill sets, we can fill some of those roles. We are looking to create a collection system mechanic title. This would allow us to actually promote a current staff member that we have that's in a lower title. He's been with us for a while and has been doing a really good job for us, so that would allow us to essentially slide him up. One of the other titles that we have more for a correction is the assistant business office manager. Again, similar from a succession planning perspective. This is a position we actually had created, but the title never went with the salary adjustment, so we're just making that correction to get that addressed. And we're also looking to repurpose another title, the maintenance control mechanic, and create a storekeeper title to allow for more administrative duties for that new title. Same thing, we've got somebody in a position that we're looking to move into that. So, in terms of capital projects, we've got a pretty aggressive capital program already in place. So right now, for the 2025 to 29 capital program, we've got $180 million plus dollars for capital improvement works. Again, in addition to kind of the staffing challenges, the biggest challenge we have is really with the equipment at both our facilities, either 50-year-old facilities, and we're at basically the point of obsolescence and end of useful life for a lot of the equipment. So again, we're looking to get those systems replaced. Unfortunately, we are having some challenges with DEC in terms of getting approvals on a timely manner, so that's something we're actively working on now. But in terms of some of the projects that we would like to highlight, just in terms of efficiencies, the new fats, oils, and grease processing project, which also has received ARPA money, is something we're looking to get established. This project will allow us essentially to harvest waste grease trap waste for restaurants and essentially sell that as a commodity, thereby increasing our revenue. So we project that that project and that revenue increase to be about $500,000 a year once that goes online. And then for sludge mixing, we've got improvements there with energy, and we anticipate at the north plant energy savings of roughly $85,000, and at the south plant roughly $60,000 with that new sludge mixing system that we're looking to do. Just in terms of the actual budget and salary lines, a couple of lines I just want to highlight in terms of increases. Next year, for 2025, we do have our pollution liability insurance policy due. That will increase the budget line by roughly $175,000, which is roughly about 100% increase over 24's budget line. Our equipment repair and our property repair lines are going up by over 30%. So both of those is to address equipment deficiencies at both our facilities. And then our electric is projected to go up by 7% or $141,000. And then our natural gas is projected to go up by 31% or $135,000 for 2025. The gas contract is actually expired, and the new gas rates are significantly higher than the current contracts are. So those are really the reasons for the energy. And then our community charge out rate is projected to go up 10% as compared to last year. And again, that's really to address the increases that I just outlined. To help offset that, we are also contributing $250,000 from our debt service reserve to offset or subsidize the payments that would otherwise be borne by the 8 communities that we serve. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions anybody has.
All right, thank you very much. Do I have any questions? Mr. Jamal?
I just, all those changes that you talked about, the titles and changes, have you submitted that to the chair?
It's been submitted, yeah.
Are they already in this budget?
Yeah, they're in the
The title
25.
changes?
The changes I just talked about were in the 25 budget, yes.
They're in here. Okay. And the gas, the natural gas is way down to 475 from $1 million.
The actual amount for the gas,
In 2024, it was 1,028,000.
I think-
Now you're going to 475,000.
I think it might have to do with encumbrances. I don't think it's being reflected accurately, possibly in the budget. I don't think it is. Bear with me.
Page 288.
Thank you.
283.
Yeah, Madam Chair, let me get back to you on this. I think this may be the exact same issue that we noticed today, actually, with Department of General Services. There's a logic issue in the compiles these reports on the previous years. So far, we've only found it in electric, natural gas. There's no impact on the calculations of the budget or on the current year. I apologize for the error of the place. We just found it today, and we're still trying to track it down to see how much more went back there. There might be some, it was literally just double counting it because of the way the accounts were set up. So I have a feeling that that's probably most likely it.
So just for everybody, the natural gas was appropriated for 2024's budget to be $440,000. So I know it's not reflected that way.
So it's probably the doubling,
So
an encumbrance.
So again, we're increasing it roughly 30%, just over 30%, compared to kind of what our original appropriation was in 2024. And then the electric similarly was $2,092,500 is what the 24 appropriation is, so I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. Right?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I think the answer to the question, though, so you didn't save $2 million in electric, right? It didn't go from 4.1 to 2.1. You're saying there's a glitch, Dave?
Yeah, it's the reporting logic. I apologize for that.
Yeah, our energy costs are actually going to be going up to 25.
His thing has the actual numbers, the report they sent us
Okay.
has the actual numbers that are not matching this.
Thank you.
It's all going up.
All right, thank you. All right, are there any other questions? Thank you very much. Okay, next we're going to have information services, just for your knowledge, that's on pages 141 and 142 in your budget book. And our chief information officer is Mr. Patrick Alderson, and you can introduce those you have at the table.
Good evening, members of the Budget Committee.
My name is Pat Alderson. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Albany County. I have with me here my colleague, Harit Garg. He is our Information Security Officer for the county. I do want to acknowledge Dave Birkin. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here tonight. He had a medical procedure today, but we're very lucky to have him and the rest of a very dedicated team in information services. We're lean and mean, but we get stuff done, we make it work. So a lot of you may know the mission of DIS is to provide information technology and system services in support of all of the county's departments. This past year, it's been a very busy one for us, and we're looking to capitalize off of some of our successes this year, next year as well. We replaced core switches, we migrated to a main data storage solution, we upgraded the county's firewalls, we've implemented with Harit and some other folks on the team a managed detection and response cybersecurity solution. We've engaged in advisory services to kind of help us rebuild our team, improve our performance, align with industry best practice, and ensure that the county is paying a fair price for IT purchases. We also managed and recovered from a network intrusion in May, as well as the global CrowdStrike disruptions back in July. And these have really kind of revitalized and renewed our focus on incident response, disaster recovery, and cybersecurity at the county. We've recycled end-of-life equipment. We even developed and implemented a drone program this year, working very closely with the Law Department, Department of Public Works, as well as Recreation Department as well. We also conducted a cybersecurity tabletop, and we're only looking to build off of these initiatives next year. So with that all said, for 2025, we did work very, very closely with the Department of Management and Budget, as well as the County Executive's Office, to put together a proposed budget of $8.5 million for information services, which does represent an increase to our expenditures, but it truly was only things that were necessary. Our major costs are going to be coming from changes to Microsoft licensing, as well as a proposed enterprise resource planning system migration, planning to move from on-prem to the cloud. We're also planning to add 2 new positions, a senior information security analyst to kind of round out our cybersecurity efforts, as well as an IT project manager to kind of help us stay on top of all of our new projects that we have going on next year, as well as departmental initiatives as well. There are also 3 title reclassifications in our budget. Senior network and systems technician is going to a help desk manager, website developer is becoming a database developer, and a confidential secretary is becoming a secretary too. All things that were requested and worked on in conjunction with civil service. We're also proposing an overtime budget of $50,000 for the first time this year. This is in response to very real incident response, cyber incident response that happens off hours, during holiday weekends, during regular weekends. We're kind of the backbone for providing information technology for the county, so our outfit needs to kind of morph or move a little bit closer to a 24/7 outfit as well. Revenues, we have about 2.4 million revenues, the majority of which are shared service chargebacks. We do have a grant that we get from Homeland Security that is now going to be paying for some of our managed detection and response services in perpetuity. Next year, we're looking to redesign the county's website. Again, like I mentioned before, migrate the enterprise resource planning software from on-premise to cloud. Continue investing in cybersecurity, continue assisting departments in evaluating their applications, change how we're purchasing Microsoft licensing, and really upgrade all computers. We do have some risks: hiring, loss of institutional knowledge, making sure that kind of governance in Albany County is as we'd like it to be. But we are looking forward to kind of tackling those risks with open arms. KPIs, we do have a variety of performance metrics focused on our help desk, focused on the hardware that we deploy and replace, as well as new software that we implement, security reviews of vendors, inventory management, and both employee training for all county employees, especially cybersecurity awareness training, as well as professional development for our staff. Since we are an internal service department, which means we're really here to support and serve other county departments, we will need to kind of reevaluate how we do some of those KPIs, but we're working with our advisory firm to do that. That all being said, I turn the floor over to you all for questions.
Okay, I just want to make a note here. Okay, that on Tuesday, 10/29, we're having an IT debrief meeting, is that correct? For information services. Okay, and so we'll be discussing cybersecurity and how to keep the county system safe. All right, so this will be the time that you'll ask questions related to strategies and next steps for cybersecurity. Everybody hear that? Okay. All right, now, so are there any questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This, I guess, would be a weird budget line, but what if we ever got hit with these hackers and there was ransomware? Where would that money come from?
So we do have cybersecurity insurance for the county. There's a minimum for that policy, as well as a per incident, per claim maximum. I'd rather not divulge those numbers just because ransomware hits you right in the middle there, or even before. But there are some municipalities that have ransomware reserves. I would say it's kind of like best practice from a lot of governments not to kind of pay the ransom. Really, we rely on our backups of our systems, and we practice restorations of those backups. So we really hope that we would be able to recover from a ransomware incident, and we wouldn't need to kind of pay a ransom.
So you have an insurance line in the budget?
Yep.
For ransomware, but you would really do everything you could not to pay it. You're taking steps to
yeah, we've really taken a whole bunch of steps to harden the perimeter of our network with investments in firewalls, investment in end-user training, investment in monitoring tools. We've received resources from New York State. They've been really great with providing shared services to local governments. It's why we have a very strong antivirus product like CrowdStrike. Yes, I recognize it had a bad day in July. Everybody probably knows what CrowdStrike is, but it is still a leader in the industry in that space. And that's a tool that New York State provides us and all county governments in New York State free of charge. It's been a really good thing for us.
Well, keep it up, because it's a lot of pressure. I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Very good, very good.
I just got a cramp, man. I'm sorry. I gotta get up. That's what happens when you get old.
Are you responsible for the cybersecurity backup for the county?
Okay.
Please, yes.
Yes. When was the last time there was an audit for county systems?
So we regularly do our own internal audits, but next year we've kind of gotten on New York State Homeland Security's wait list to perform a risk assessment as well as penetration testing of the network. So they'll be doing that at some point next year. It's a very high demand, in-demand service, both the risk assessment piece as well as the penetration testing piece. And from that, we'll be able to kind of like capitalize on lessons learned and probably make future investments in cybersecurity. I probably shouldn't say that, but that's what's going to happen.
Do you also have your internal like county pen testing person?
We have one cybersecurity analyst. We're looking to build the team hard. What are some of the things you do that are, I guess, close to pen testing?
We do have an in-house vulnerability scanning, so it scans all the systems and devices we have and bring out the real-time vulnerabilities they have. We also have some other services that also detect any anomalies going into the network, and we work on them in real time. We have also implemented, as Patrick mentioned, the detection services that collects all the logs and all the events from all the devices, whether it's on our premises or in the cloud, and put a real-time monitoring and detection on it, so we respond to threats more quickly now.
Awesome,
Thank you. Ms. Lilliard.
Hi, thank you for everything you do. I just finished your cyber training course, I thought it was great. But I wanted to ask a question about your web page design plans. Will you be doing like a survey of all the different departments to see what their needs are? And will that web page design be limited by space? So if there are any departments or programs that aren't represented, they will still have an opportunity to be on your webpage.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the projects for information services that was funded with American Rescue Plan Act dollars will be a redesign of the county's website next year. There's going to be a whole bunch of legwork and planning that goes into that redesign, including taking in all departments' kind of external communication needs, what type of interactions they would like to have with the public or residents beyond just what they're doing today. And really, we're looking to build the site specific to departments. There are some departments that are much larger than others that may want their websites to look, feel, and smell a little bit differently than others. When we're going through this redesign exercise with the consultant, we have purchased some, they call them sub-sites, which are going to be different from like the main website. These are going to be built by or designed by the group that we're working with, the vendor that we're working with. But as far as ongoing maintenance, part of our fee with this vendor will be the ability for us to kind of upkeep these websites and build them in the future as well. And a lot of what we're looking to do is kind of put, once we build the initial website for a department, put kind of content management and publication a little bit more back in their hands. So they have the ability to make more real-time updates and improvements, subject to approvals from our web designer as well as the director of communications. But I think it will make things a whole much more efficient.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So if there are no other questions, thank you so much, and we're going to take a 5-minute break.
See everybody next Tuesday.
That's right, we do want to go home. Just smack that thing hard.
That's it. Get him in, get him out.
Where the trip from anyway. That's an old ad before your time. Go, where the trip from anyway.
I think he's coming back.
We're live.
Okay, we're live. Okay. All right, we're going to begin again here. And just want to welcome everybody back from our little 5-minute break. We're going to start with civil service, which is located on pages 91 through 93 in our budget book. And our director is Tanner Black.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the legislature. Thank you for having me here today to present Civil Services 2025 budget. I would also like to extend thanks to the Department of Management and Budget and the County Executive's Office for their continued support. There are no significant changes in our budget. There is one minor change, which is budget neutral, that is shifting $6,700 from our fees for services line to a more appropriately titled computer fees line. That amount is the cost of our annual maintenance and support contract with our electronic records management system. While we don't have any significant changes in the budget, we do have a significant change in function. We assumed responsibilities earlier this year for recruitment for Albany County positions. One of our 2024 highlights was the launch of the current job opportunities section of our online job portal, application portal. As Angelo mentioned, that is relatively new. I'm happy to hear he's having some success with that. That's where we post all of the vacant county positions, and individuals can go online and submit their applications. We do estimate spending significantly more on online advertising and recruitment supplies and promotion giveaways as we grow this function, the recruitment function. While our own online application portal is relatively new to job seekers, the online recruitment sites such as Indeed and LinkedIn are more established go-tos, and we do feel that we have to rely on those sites for at least a couple of years while we grow our portal popularity and the traffic. And I'm open to questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, do we have any questions from the members? Oh, wonderful.
Everyone's very anxious.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now we are on Public Works, which is found on pages 265 through 279 in your budget book. And Commissioner Lisa Raimondo.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair and chairpersons and members of the legislature. I'm pleased to be here tonight to present on DPW's proposed 2025 budget. DPW's budget increases workforce efficiencies, brings lagging salaries to a more competitive level, adds a new revenue source, provides the resources necessary to maintain our equipment and our infrastructure, provides funding for complete streets, and includes green initiatives. Regarding workforce efficiencies, the budget proposes to eliminate 2 positions, an engineering tech position and a senior engineering tech position. With the money saved in eliminating those two positions, I propose to create a director of engineering position and augment several salaries such that they can become more competitive and to reward certain employees for taking on more job responsibilities. We propose to generate new revenue through the sale of surplus millings. We anticipate selling 12,000 tons of millings at a cost of approximately $8 a ton to other municipalities and those who are requesting them, totaling approximately $96,000 in revenue that can be generated and reinvested into in-house projects, equipment, and materials purchases. Currently, DPW does not have an issue with retention of employees. We do have challenges with bringing in new operators, though. We're continuously recruiting new operators, increased advertising on Indeed, the ability to hire individuals who reside outside the county. We currently have 4 operators who reside outside the county, assisting candidates with getting their CDLs, increased salaries and overtime incentives, all have helped us retain our operators. Our salaries are competitive among neighboring municipalities, and we found that about 1 out of 4 new hires find that the DPW is a good fit for them. Some of the CDL operators just want to drive, but DPW operations require more than driving, obviously maintaining the roads and mowing and all kinds of other in-house projects. So the fact is, there seems to be more CDL jobs available than folks who want to do the work, and that is not unique to our department. Thanks to the county executive and the legislature, though, I have to say your commitment to allowing us to invest in state-of-the-art equipment has helped us with efficiencies and has been the deciding factor on incenting employees to choose Albany County to come to work for versus the state or another municipality. Department successes are measured by our ability to keep our infrastructure safe and well-maintained, ensuring delivery of essential services consistently throughout the year. I submitted a list of 6 goals the department seeks to achieve each year. It should be noted that the totals for bridge and catch basin cleaning are not complete because that work is seasonal and it doesn't begin until right around now. This list is not exhaustive of the items that measure program success, and I'm continuing the work on defining other meaningful, quote, success metrics. For example, keeping county roads open, safe, and passable during winter operations is a goal. We accomplished this goal thus far in 2024. In order to maintain our infrastructure, we need our fleet and equipment in good working order. This past year, we did not have to stop operations because of lack of working equipment. Our goal is to respond to citizen requests and permit applications in a timely fashion. We're proposing to subscribe to a Tyler enterprise, which will allow us to quantify how quickly we respond to citizen requests and how quickly permits are turned around. We're also taking steps toward moving toward greener construction practices. Last year, we began using warm-in-place mix rather than hot-in-place mix, which means we don't have to heat the asphalt up to the higher temperature, which saves on the fuel. This summer, we did something that is the first application in the area. We used 40% recycled asphalt products on County Route 53. We paved about a half mile of County Route 53 with that product. Having used 40% recycling as opposed to 15 to 20%, it's a greener product, and we're going to monitor that and see how it lasts over the next few years, and see if we can afford to add even more recycled product into our mix. At that, I will open it up to questions.
Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, you mentioned in your notes the Clean Truck Act.
Yes.
And it looks like it's a challenge for you because it may lead to some higher prices.
So
are electric vehicles really feasible for big trucks? I guess, have we gotten to that point yet or no?
No, they haven't. I just came from a meeting where it was discussed with my counterparts in other counties, and we're really hoping that we can push the state to say, okay, we're going to not require this to go into effect in 2025. It doesn't mandate that we purchase the vehicles, but it mandates the manufacturers and suppliers sell 10% EV heavy equipment when the equipment doesn't even exist for our purposes. So it's kind of nonsensical, but yet if it does pass, it'll become a real problem because it will limit the number of diesel fuel vehicles that can be sold, because you can only sell 10 diesel fuel vehicles if you sell 10% of electric. So the supply will decrease, the costs will increase, and it could be a problem.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. DeMolo.
Can you just tell me about any raises over 3% salary of the positions of what they're doing?
Sure, yep, let me pull that. So I proposed raising the deputy commissioner's salary to be commensurate with that of other deputy commissioners in the county, and considering he's pretty much on 24-hour around-the-clock call and works extensive hours and can't get compensated for it, that's one reason for that increase. I proposed an increase to one of our clerk's salaries because she's going to be taking on a lot more job responsibilities. Our previous payroll clerk did just payroll, and this gal, we need to get some continuity of services in our department so that when my admin is out, the payroll liaison can perform certain duties. So she's being hopefully rewarded for taking on extra work. Where else is that? There's another one. The health and safety inspector, his salary he's not taking on extra work, but his salary lags a lot compared to those of other health and safety coordinators in the area, and in an effort to retain him, I want to bring his salary up. And the senior planner, we're proposing to increase her job responsibilities and hope to retain her. What we're finding is people in those positions tend to stay with us for like a year or two, and then they move on to a different locality, and we lose all of their knowledge that we're trained on, and we're being a great service to the county. So there's retention reasons. There's also, she's going to be taking on more job responsibilities. We're hoping that we're not hoping, one of her job responsibilities will be to start looking at seeker analyses for not just DPW projects, but for other departments' projects. So learning the seeker process and how to write the seeker letters for our projects. And attending meetings on behalf of the county that are pertaining to planning. Right now, her tasks are mostly reviewing general municipal law referrals.
I noticed you don't have the title of laborer. Did they change it to something else? I don't see any laborers in there.
There should be a laborer.
I'm looking, I went through all your point ones.
Yeah, it's a shop, it's a laborer.
Road machinery.
Did I miss it?
274.
No, I mean, there used to be like 15 laborers.
Oh, well, talk about doing more with less, right?
Yeah. Geez,
So,
on that, but
yeah,
we
we
don't
have
have
all
any.
the tools, yeah. I mean, we haven't had more than one laborer since my tenure, so it's been a long time. We've had a lot of operators. Are you thinking about operators?
Yeah, but, so what's the guy's title that's down in the culvert digging it out?
Operator.
Operator? If he's not, what if he's not operating a machine?
He's still an operator.
Oh, all right.
Yep. That's why the CDL drivers, when they come, they don't want to, some don't want to do that work. So,
Oh, I see.
yeah, so that's
So
why.
multitasking.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Lorella.
So I just wanted to comment on your plans with your senior planner to augment her work and increase her salary. I think that's great. We've got a response back that her job duties are at least 30 hours a week reviewing our municipal law referrals. So hopefully, I know you're hiring an intern or planning person that maybe could help with that, because that's taking up a lot of her time where she'd be doing, a lot more planning for the county. So I just want to throw that out to my legislators here that maybe you do need another position in your department to address, you know, the workload right now that the senior committee has, which is pretty much related to those general municipal law referrals.
Right.
I wanted to throw that out, so.
Thank you.
All right. Yes,
Just
Mr.
a
Clark.
quick statement. I just want to appreciate everything you listen to, your staff, everybody does a great job. You've been out there a couple of times, check out your facilities, everybody's knowledgeable, knows what they're doing, obviously, you need to do a great job at that. And I appreciate everything you got down there, so thank you.
Ms. Lakakis?
I'm not going to make a statement, no. I know, I heard you say that you use 40% renewed asphalt in your, and I was wondering if there are any other opportunities to use any other materials. Like I understand in some countries they use crushed glass. I know that here we have a problem not really recycling our glass, so I just was kind of wondering if you had done any, if you had heard anything about any other materials besides reusing asphalt.
Right, so there's always, like if you look online, there's all kinds of different places that want to use recycled, you know, from glass to plastics to you name it. Right now, we're doing what, you know, the large companies like Callahan might be offering. So what the difference is it's not a matter of using glass at this point, it's a matter of how much recycled product. So there's a company downstate that uses 100% recycled product. And I'm not 100% sure what's in it. I'm sure there's a lot of different things, but they were wanting us to try that, and we didn't feel comfortable with trying that on one of our roadways. We were thinking perhaps we could try it in a parking lot or something, a very small parking lot. But I could get more information for you on the, you know, what other items are in the recycled product.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. Looks like we don't have any more questions. I want to thank you for your presentation. I also want to thank you for all the hard work that you all put out during the year too. Thank you very much. All right. All right. Well, next is general services and Commissioner Latina.
Good evening, Madam Chair and legislators. Department of General Services mission is really to serve mostly the county workforce and the county buildings. That's our main task. We put a budget together which we believe is a good view. I believe we're at maybe a little bit about an 8% increase without salary increases. Most of it is due to construction costs and goods and services that the inflation that is across our desks. We do have a couple of a new position that's an office manager position that's going to be in the equipment line. We're bringing on a GPS system to monitor all the county vehicles, so we can come down and we can find, say, if we have a CYF worker that's shouldn't really been walked out of their system for a long time, we can track that vehicle and make sure there's safety. It's a little more of a safety initiative for the county workforce. We've also, there were some raises that we put in above the 3% for our purchasing department. That was for retainage of our purchasing department. We seem to lose them to the state. So there's a 2% over 3% for them, a 5% increase for our purchasing personnel. And that's where we stand right now. Open to all questions.
I'm sorry. Are there any questions from any members? Okay. All right then. Thank you very much, Mr. Lieutenant.
Thank you very much for your time.
Call it, Scotty, call it. Call it, last one.
You always want to go on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. All right, so we're finished for tonight. The next time we meet is
November 4th.
November 4th. Thank you very much.
Motion adjourned?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, okay.
Thank you.